The victim in this incident has a startle response, which means he didn't hear, see, or even suspect he was about to be violently attacked. Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First. Our first victim here gets dominated and pushed to the ground, where his cohort in crime is happy to point a firearm at both victims and demand money. The victims, they give the suspects their money, and the suspects flee the scene of the crime in a four-door black sedan pictured here. If you take a look at Houston's YouTube robbery channel, it says that the victim stated 2 unknown males suddenly appeared. How do people suddenly appear? They just pivot around a blind corner using your obstructed view to their advantage. This is a transition. During transitions, we have focal shifts. Your focus at an ATM is going to be on putting the correct information into the computer so you don't withdraw too little or too much. Despite what a lot of people believe, we as human beings are not good at multitasking. A contributing factor to the obstructed view part of this is social norms. Doing what people expect you to do. It's normal for every single car that pulls up to pull up even with this ATM. Later in the video, I'll show you how I would solve this problem. I'll dig down a bit more on this particular aspect. Presuming this gentleman already withdrew his money, why is he still standing in this highly vulnerable area between his car and this ATM obstruction? Where is his focus? He's focused on speaking with the passenger in the back seat. He's loitering in an area of vulnerability, a high crime dangerous area. That is not efficient. Start thinking of this like executive protection for your family, for your loved ones. The first planning stage of executive protection is the advance. Just do some research. One of the free internet tools that I like is crimegrade.org. Click on the violent crime tab or click on the more tab and choose from among a list of crimes that you're concerned about. Having 2 people at an ATM like this, it's going to be good if you can coach that second person that their only job is to let you know when any vehicle or pedestrians enter onto this lot in your general direction. Why? Because it's time to go. It's time to hit cancel and move along. Perhaps a friendly reminder to your helper that they should put their phone away so they're not tempted to lose focus. Me and mine are going to do our best to avoid using an ATM in a high crime dangerous area. Okay, let's do a hypothetical. Say that I'm visiting one of my adult children who doesn't agree with the need for all of these tactics. And that child is adamant that they need to go to an ATM after dark in a high crime dangerous area. How would I deal with that? Well, I would try to negotiate some ground rules and ride along second seat. Well, what kind of rules? First of all, I try to get the child to trust me that when we arrive on scene, we're going to take a little cruise around the parking lot with our bright headlights turned on. Why? Because we're going to point those headlights at the parked cars, looking for folks sitting in a parked car close to an ATM. If I see something like that I don't like, then we're going to immediately leave that location and just go to another ATM where we're going to repeat the process. If the ATM's on one side of a bank, we're going to drive completely around the bank. What are we looking for? Well, we're looking for people loitering, people passing through on a logical route that's going to bring them in close proximity to the ATM at the time that we happen to be at the ATM. It's a timing thing. If I see something I don't like, we're moving on. The next rule is if while my adult child is in the process of withdrawing money, if I tell them to hit the cancel button, it's time to go, they need to agree to this condition. One last rule. Any other rules that I make up along the way, they agree to comply with. I know that's asking a lot. But the thing that I'm looking for, again, it's people. People loitering in cars, on foot, people compressing time and distance with that ATM at the exact time that we just happen to be at the ATM making a withdrawal. It's a timing thing. Remember that four-door black sedan? That didn't suddenly appear. The driver either approached from some angle, stopping behind the ATM, or they were already sitting in the parking lot waiting for a victim. Earlier, I mentioned going against social norms. In the collective works of the late John Boyd, who gave the world the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, and act, Boyd had much to say about doing least expected things. Why? Least expected things cause uncertainty and doubt. This can and does often lead to a temporary hesitation as the person watching your odd actions strives to understand What is it that they're seeing? If an ambush predator launches an attack on another wolf, just like him, or on an off-duty police officer, they might get seriously injured, killed, or end up in prison. If you're efficient with your task and you cause just a wee bit of uncertainty by doing something odd and unexpected, then you can exploit that temporary hesitation and you're gone before they figure out what they were seeing. Okay, so how do we do that? Don't park even with the ATM because that's what bad guys are used to seeing. Pull slightly forward or stop slightly short. The goal here is to provide your passenger, the lookout, with the longest unobstructed sight lines possible, depending upon that parking lot. Bad guys effectively use lookouts to watch for the police, so why shouldn't innocent people of goodwill use lookouts to watch for bad guys? They should. It's reverse engineering the things that work. In my hypothetical, say that my adult child wants to park even with the ATM. How am I going to create uncertainty, doubt, and hesitation? If I'm the protector and I'm lawfully concealed carry, I'm going to roll the window down. I'm going to get out of the vehicle and leave the door open. I'm regaining my mobility in case there's a problem. I'm also going to use that mobility to move slightly forward or slightly rear of the vehicle depending upon which vantage point gives me the best unobstructed long sight lines to watch for potential threats approaching. You got to remember these kind of tactics, they're primarily for high crime, dangerous areas of big cities. In the small towns that I do business, recreation, or pleasure, these kinds of tactics get tweaked on an as needed basis because the crime rates are radically different. As needed typically has to do with somebody making nonverbal and sometimes verbal statements to the world that they're a dangerous man. That said, old habits die hard, and practicing how to be slightly outside of that social norm box, it's going to keep your skills sharp for when you do have to be in big city USA. Bad guy situational awareness is often on par with the police officer's situational awareness. Not only are they watching for lawmen, they also watch for rival gangs and other predatory wolves.
3 people were killed and several others were injured. Though he did not fire the gun, he does stand accused of serving as the lookout, armed with guns, believed to be waiting for a rival gang. If convicted, he could get life in prison.
Bad guys don't have prime real estate on the use of lookouts. You got to start thinking outside the box to keep your family and yourself safe. When I think of box in this context, I think of social norms. Tactical staging is a principle that Humilitas First teaches. In this case, it's setting the stage for your lookout to be able to see approaching vehicles or bad guys getting out of a vehicle with their identities concealed. Doing these odd things also sets the stage in the mind of the unjust criminal aggressor. The ambush predator has to look at this and instantly know this is not normal. Nobody does that. What am I seeing here? Is this a wolf just like me, or is this an off-duty police officer? Is this an on-duty plainclothes sting? Is this a trap?